So you all being recorded, just be aware of what you say. And let me try and get the screen share going. All right, which one is it? Hopefully it's this one. Can anyone confirm from my side if you can see my screen share? It's the League of Legends in-game client.
Yep, I see it.
Awesome. Okay, are you good to start? Cool. All right, so awesome. So how would I like to? I'm trying to I normally do this very casually, just off the fly. So normally, I mean, if you want, you can log into a spectate game and you can like do this side by side with me if you want. If not, just I guess watch. I mean, I have this recorded.
I think it'd be better if I just watch, honestly, because
Cool.
I might get distracted if I'm in game.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Like I said, I'll have this recorded, and if it works out fine, then I'll just post it or share it somewhere.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. All right. So basically, how I start with, there are like 3 or 4 key things I like to go about, which is handily enough. It's in the options. So when this is basically the in-game spectator client. So this is not playing the game itself. It's a spectator basically. When you hit escape, you have the settings, and the key things that I like to go over is hotkeys, so bindings, key bindings, and then I like to go over the UI itself. And then the third thing I like to go over is like the fundamentals. So this is what you're framing. This is what you're showing. So the actual nitty gritty stuff. But before we get to that, we got to actually get through the key bindings. So
yeah,
I'll start here. So hotkeys. So the key ones for me, like if I were to say anything at all, the most important key binding for you is drag scroll lock. So bind this to something. I bind this to default Z. Normally when I'm training people, it's just easier for me to work off of what I'm comfortable with, and then because if I say, oh, press Z now, they kind of know. But obviously once you get comfortable, once you understand why we have this and that, you can then rebind the keyboard to whatever you want, and you'll understand sooner or later. So if we've rebinded drag scroll lock, so keyword again, drag scroll lock, and basically like without being in drag scroll, you're gonna move around like this. You're moving around like you're in game of League of Legends, right? So kind of like
it's
this.
not smooth at all.
Yes, it's not smooth. So now we've bound this to Z now. So if we click Z here, we are now in what we call drag scroll or smooth camera, whatever we call it. The official term is drag scroll. And basically, once you press that, because it's a lock, it's basically a toggle. So now wherever you move your mouse, it's going to be in this motion here.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is good and which is what we want. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the most important thing. And then another thing to note is this here, drag scroll. If this is bounded to something, normally default it's bounded to like mouse button 3, which is your mouse wheel, I believe. You want to unbind that. And the reason why is because, well, here's the thing, like most people when they just start observing, they don't know about drag scroll lock. They try and observe by holding down the mouse wheel, but sometimes you let go and it's not good.
On your finger.
Yes, exactly. And I've had students tell me in the past, like they observed a whole game, like 40 minutes of holding that down, and in the observer community, we kind of laugh because it's like the newbie mistake. Because if they didn't know about drag scroll lock, they have to resort to this because that's all they know about. And then it's like something we laugh at. But basically, why we want to unbind that and not use it at all, because predominantly 99% of the time you're pretty much going to be in drag scroll lock. Like you don't want to be moving around like this unless, I don't know, maybe you're like Korea where they used to StarCraft, you see, so they like jumping around and things like that.
Yeah.
But most of the time, especially from the Western side, we want to focus solely on being in drag scroll. And the reason why we unbind drag scroll itself is because, let's say I'm in drag scroll lock, so I'm observing normally, but then I accidentally hit my middle mouse button. Oh crap, I've left basically it disables it, like toggles it once. So then you have to re-toggle
the jump.
Yes.
Jumping between.
Exactly. So basically you don't want your mouse to show. But that's like another thing with OBS, you can hide that, which is really cool. But basically, you want to be in drag scroll lock for the most part. So instead of like accidents, you don't want to like accidentally hit middle mouse button. So I would suggest just unbinding that. You don't really need the default drag scroll. Just stick with drag scroll lock. Cool.
Just to let you know, we actually don't see your mouse on the screen. So
okay. So I've
if that's something you're worried about, we don't see it.
Let me bring this up. That's actually good to know because when I play League, I guess it's actually kind of nice to have the mouse open.
Yeah. I didn't know if we were supposed to see it or not, the cursor.
No, that's a very good. Where do I find it again? Properties. Here we go. So capture cursor. Wait, it should be on. Do you not see my cursor? Oh wait, this is because of Discord. I forgot you're not watching from
Yeah,
my stream.
it's probably because of Discord. Yeah.
Let's see if I can
Oh
fix
wait,
it.
are you streaming it somewhere else
Oh no,
outside
no,
of
I'm
Discord?
recording it recording it locally.
Oh, okay.
Or yeah, this is just local recording, and like I said, I won't share about your permission anyways.
No. I was gonna say if you're streaming somewhere else, I'm supposed to be watching.
Oh no,
then
This
I'll
is
go
this
there
is the
and
better place. I'm trying. Is there an option on Discord share screen to limit
um,
to
the cursor thing.
yeah to not hide it?
I have no idea.
Whatever.
I didn't even know it hid your cursor, but like I didn't even think that was an option.
Sorry, I'm just replying to messages. Okay. I mean, like, if anyone else knows how I can, I don't know if it's default hidden when you share a thingy on Discord, but basically it's not the worst case, I guess, if you're not seeing my screen.
No, but I know where you're like if you're covering options, I see it being highlighted, so that's not an issue at all. So
Let me do
that's
this.
probably fine.
Let me do this workaround method here. I'm gonna do a full screen projector on my OBS. Let's do this one. Okay, I'm gonna project this source out. I'm just gonna share it straight from this instead. We'll do a workaround. Stand by.
Yeah, no problem. I'm trying to Google something to see if I can actually find where it is.
Yeah, no worries. Alright, where's my OBS projector? I got so many tabs open.
I'm reading that it might be because of streamer mode on Discord, but I'm not sure
I
if that.
see. I've got a workaround. Let's hope this is not too laggy. I'm basically sharing my my projecting on OBS instead. So that's not it. Give me a second. Technical issues. Window projector source. Like that. This is very spontaneous.
It's fine.
Have you ever done any observing yourself?
Well, I mean, not for anyone. I've just been, I try to like observe for myself like 1 or 2 games a night if I
Okay.
get the time, get the chance. But I haven't really recorded anything yet. I just hop on like a few games, just watch, try to practice like following stuff around.
Okay. Lucky
Like
for you, I heard
mainly global.
there's a shortage of observers in North America, which is why sometimes they reach out to me, which is whatever it's like work
Oh.
for me. But yeah, so you're in a good position.
Yeah, I haven't really found like any places other than like the esports Discord, but the time zones there are mainly like they're looking for EU people. I haven't really seen anyone look for anime.
Ah.
But I guess I just probably haven't hit the right, probably haven't found the right spot yet.
Yeah, I've got connections. I'll link to you for some reason. Oh, 1 second. Let me just
Awesome.
really quickly exit this and come back. 1 second. Hello. All right, my screen share option is not working now. Why? Why is Discord not behaving right now?
I think Discord streamer mode is probably breaking everything now.
Oh no. Yeah, my screen share is just loading. It's like not bringing up anything now. What the hell? Technical difficulties. Okay, there is something else I could do, but I'm not sure if this will work. If screen share isn't gonna work, I'm just gonna broadcast this camera out. Okay, we'll see if this works. This is my only workaround, but I have to use my camera. Can people in the chat see the camera itself? Basically, instead of my screen share, you have to look at my supposed video cam. Can you see this?
Yeah, I see a cursor now.
All right. Is it mirrored?
No, it's not mirrored.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll work with this for now, just because it's like a temporary fix. Is that okay for everyone?
Well, it's not lagging or anything. It's perfect. So
Cool.
that's
All right.
It's not an issue.
Work with this and hope my face doesn't pop up. It's not mirrored, right? You sure? It's mirrored on my side.
It's not
Okay,
mirrored.
cool. All right, back to it. So we went through drag scroll lock, basically TLDR bind it to something. I'm saying bind it to Z for now, Z, and then unbind drag scroll. Cool. So that's the most important one. And that's basically the general of the camera controls. The other things is the obvious. So if we're really going to go into, actually we need zoom. So do you know about toggle extended zoom?
Yeah. For me, it's Control Shift and Z. I think.
Yes, Control Shift Z is the default. I'm not sure what it is on mine. Mine's on V, so I've rebounded to V.
Yeah.
I can help you and anyone else in here to actually rebind that. It's basically in like the settings or the notepad settings.
Yeah, in the config files.
Yeah, so I can help you with that if you want, because I personally don't like to press 3 buttons just to like zoom. It's really
I
annoying
think
for
you
me.
already sent me something with
Oh yeah, I
that,
did.
like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
first when I contacted you.
Cool. All right, then we'll save up on that. But yeah, basically zoom. So the default zoom is very zoomed in, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Like we kind of want to avoid that. So this is like a new default we set to. It's whatever you prefer, but you know, it's whatever shows the context of whatever matters.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. And then the beauty of this is, so I'm pressing V now. I'm zooming out right now. I'm scrolling my mouse wheel. I can't zoom. Once I press V, it unlocks the zoom. I can go really far out if I want to. And if I press V again, it just defaults back to normal, which is a nice way.
So you can just zoom out as much as you want. Yeah, I didn't try going past.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it goes really far. I mean, I could actually do it, but it goes really far. I mean, Riot don't really like showing this because it shows the broken map and stuff like that. Yeah, you can go a long way, but I mean, obviously don't do that in a broadcast. But yeah, basically it's easier. Like if you ever want to default back, then you can hit V again and zoom back out. But normally you don't want to because what I've recently figured out is you don't want to be back to default and then zoom out again. So some people just say once you turn on the zoom, you just leave it, which is true, which is why Control Shift Z works. Because once you're in zoom, you never really need to like untoggle it to default like this, because you just zoom in. But let's say you are like all the way back here, then that's gonna be a problem. Is everything still working on mine? Oh, did I DC?
I think you hit a keybind or something. Like leave the channel.
Oh my god, really? Is it still working?
That's probably what happened.
All right, well we're back. Hopefully it's fine.
Yep, that's
cool. Yeah, that's zoom. That's zoom. So we went for drag scroll and went for zoom. But like I said, you can rebind it, and I've sent you the info for that, so no worries. Great. The next thing is the key one, so jumping between players. So again, basically you can just log on to the in-game and have a look at the settings yourself, and it teaches you everything.
Yeah, I actually had to look because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me it's the same as you, just
Yeah.
1 to 5 and Q2.
Yep. So blue team on the left here is 1 to 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then red team on the right here is QWERT. So let's say I want to jump to Jarvan, who is red lane's top laner, is Q. If I want to jump to Zillion, who is blue team support, I go to 5. So this is something you can practice. So something you can already get practice on within observing is load into a random game, your friend's game, whatever, and just jump between champions. Or if you have a friend, like ask a friend to join you. Like maybe you have another friend who wants to jump into observing. You can like practice swapping between obs 1 and obs 2. We'll go into those details about what the purpose of those roles are. But yeah, so you can like have one person say, okay, jump to Vi. Okay, jump to Victor. Victor's mid lane blue team, jump to Victor. So you can have someone like telling you to jump between and practice. And that's just to get used to the actual, again, keep binding this off. And this is how you navigate the map, right? Instead of going from Jarvan top lane all the way to mid, you could pan all the way, but that looks ugly, right? So instead of doing that, you just jump. I mean, you can. There's nothing wrong with it, but I prefer to jump. Unless there's a reason, like if there's a reason you're showing this like pan movement, like, I want to go to Ari to Jarvan, like maybe she's walking top lane, then sure you can follow her, right? Or she,
I guess if there's like a actual thing to show, then you should probably do it, right?
Yes, exactly. Like if like I don't want to jump, let's say it's 2 people very close. Let's find a time.
Maybe when they're clearing scuttle or something.
Yeah, basically like, if they, because first of all it won't let you jump. If I'm on, who's this guy called again? Can't remember his name.
Young.
Okay, yeah. I like that. I haven't played in a while. So yeah, let's say Yone's here and I want to jump to Jarvan. If Jarvan's in frame, okay, never mind. That's because I'm past the default. It works as default. So if like this happens, right? So if I want to jump to Jarvan from Yone, I can't jump because he's in frame. As soon as he leaves the frame, I'm able to jump again. However, that looks ugly, right? Like you're jumping from there to there.
Really choppy, choppy, jumpy thing.
Yeah, and normally you won't be in the default. You just have to factor that in, right? So basically, don't jump because it works off the default frame. Because I'm zoomed out, like I might see Jarvan here, but I can still jump to Jarvan here, and that looks ugly, right? So basically, don't do short jumps. Jump from like map, like lane to lane, so mid, bot lane, top. So that's very simple. So basically, you can already practice that. A nice way to do it is, if you have like a keyboard with a numpad, my old colleague Unso, he would bind like numlock as like up here, and then home, and then 4, 1, and then 0, and then here we do like the asterisk, then 9, 6, 3. But like I said, that's up to you to rebind a keyboard. But the best way I like to do is, if someone calls out a champion, I take a brief second and look here and here. So okay, Vi. Okay, I look for Vi. I see she's on the red team and she's 2, and then Ari, and then 3. Stuff like that. So that's a nice way of doing it. Like take your time, right? If someone like jumped, or like if you're obs 1 and you have an obs 2 says, oh, jump to Victor, you might think, okay, where's Victor? Because a lot of people beginning, they will like mess it up. They will jump to here, go, oh shit, wrong button, and then go back, right?
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I've actually done that, trying to like practice.
Yeah, and it will happen. Like, it happens a lot. I still do it sometimes by accident, but the best thing is to take your time. And here's another thing. If you do jump to the wrong champion, so let's say I want to jump to Victor mid lane. If I jump to Vayne by accident, instead of quickly jumping to Victor again, unless it's like essential, unless like there's a fight breaking out or a kill's about to happen, and unless that's the case, then sure. But if it's not as a serious thing, if you make a mistake, just play it off. Like, if you like constantly jump between in sporadic moments, it makes you look like you made a mistake. You don't want that to come across. Let's say I'm jumping again to Victor and I hit Vayne. Oh shit, I'm jumping really quickly. That's gonna look really bad, and it's gonna look like you made a mistake. So something you can do is actually play it off. Like, let's say it's not a serious moment. Oh shit, jump to wrong point. Just hold it. Hold it for 1-2 seconds, and then jump to Victor. So basically make it look like you didn't fuck up. And then no one else will know. The only person who will know is yourself and maybe like your observer partner who called out make Victor and C jump to the wrong person. But it doesn't really matter too much. But cool. So that's that's 1 to 5. That's jumping between champions. That's just something you can practice on your own. It's very simple. You'll get used to it, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, you can always rebind it in the end.
Of course.
Little things like directed camera. So directed camera is basically, this is normally for Ops 2. So if I hit D, it's going to count down to directed camera. And it basically just, it basically autopilots for you. It basically shows you the AI's point of interest of what it wants to show you. So as Observer 1, you obviously don't go in this mode. The only reason you'd be in this mode is Observer 1. And by Observer 1, I mean like the main observer. So what the broadcast tends to see like 90% of the time, except for like in-game replays. You only want to go into like directed cam if like you need to alt tab out. Like if I need to alt tab out and fix my audio, I go in directed cam, and then I like alt tab, and that's fine. It's not the best thing to do.
Show something
exactly. Like you don't want to be this static camera here.
Yeah.
Like exactly. Like any experienced observer would know, oh, you're in directed cam because it moves in a specific way. Like you can see it like pan around.
I mean, it's locked into the champion, so it's pretty noticeable.
Yeah. But like I said, it's all I'm trying to say is you rarely will ever use this Observer 1. However, it's normally used for like if you're bugging out or you need to do something really quickly. So it's not the worst. So yeah, that's direct cam, and you can see it count down here. However, you want to avoid that even in drag scroll. So I'm in drag scroll right now. You see it's like stuck on 5. However, there's a time where if you somehow move your mouse to the very center and default it actually starts counting. I can't really do this right now. Basically, if you somehow move your mouse to the center point in terms of staticness, it actually counts as your mouse being inactive and it starts counting down. So a good rule of thumb, it's more advanced, is before you go into drag scroll lock, just hit S. And S is the manual camera. And that basically disables it? Yeah, it basically disables directed cam. It's a little safer thing because sometimes your mouse, even in drag scroll, it will jump randomly. Like even sometimes it's not to do with the directed camera, it just jumps. It's a bug. It's happened recently. Hopefully they fixed it. But yeah, just something to factor in. It might not even be a thing. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a nice rule of thumb. So make sure you're actually in manual camera, in directed, and even when you're in your drag scroll as Observer 1. But Observer 2, what I do is I literally just hit D, zoom out, and AFK. Because the purpose of Observer 1 and Observer 2, I'm not sure if I went through this with you, but Observer 1 is like the main observer. Observer 2 is like the one supporting the main observer. So Obs 1 is main observer, Obs 2 is like support or secondary observer.
So this Observer 2 is the one calling the stuff out for Observer 1 to see, or is it the other way around?
So this, normally that's how I've worked it, and that's how we've worked it in the LEC or the EULCS, and I'm pretty sure they do the same in the LCS and NA as well. So that's what I'm used to. Obviously, this is not like a rule of thumb. This is not something you have to do, but it helps and it makes sense. Some Observer 1s have the luxury of having like a God mode or a future client, some people call it, which is basically another game client on another monitor, which shows you the gameplay ahead. Because Observer 1 before 20 minutes tends to be in delay, what we call. So let's say we're 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 seconds right now, right? This is live. Let's say this is live. This is what the game is rolling out as the game's being played. However, as Observer 1, we actually might be 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Let's do 5 seconds. Observer 1 is actually at 5 minutes. So they're actually behind 5 seconds. So we call that they are in delay. So we are in delay. And that's Observer 1 is that. And it's useful for early game because, well, we have, 10 champions? We have 3 lanes, 4 if you count the jungles. So basically, there's always a lot going on. And it's very difficult to catch everything live because you're basically relying on the minimap at that point, right? So it's very difficult. So to alleviate that, we have a method where we have other observers. We can be number 2 or number 3. Most of like your events you'll be working starting out with would be two observers, so like a two observer team, 1 and 2. But yeah, basically observer 2, from what my workflow uses, is observer 2 supports observer 1, because don't forget, observer 1 is 5 seconds delayed. So they're in the past. However, observer 2 is live, and we could say they're in the future of observer 1. So they know what's going on. So basically they have a 5-second advantage to let observer 1 know, hey, there's mid lane trades. Oh my god, jungler's ganking top lane, go top lane. And that's basically where the support network comes in.
That's way easier to, like, not miss anything at
all. Yep, exactly. But obviously, this really depends on the team and the workflow and the observers you work with, because there are some observers where observer 1, if they do have future client, like I said, future client, god mode, they're the same thing. It's basically they have a separate account that are also in that same game as spectator. It takes up another spectator slot. We can debate the complications of that later on. But basically, if they have that, basically they have their own observer too. So their god mode or future client will be 5 minutes, 5 seconds. And then they'll have that zoomed out. And then they have that in directed cam playing like this. So basically, all you have to do is look up occasionally or look whatever your second monitor is, which is why it's helpful to have at least a secondary monitor.
Yeah, at least a second monitor.
Yeah. So you can observe by yourself. Like I've observed events by myself as well. I lack access to in-game replays. However, some people don't care about that production value. They just care about having a decent observing show. So they don't care about replays. Yeah, exactly. So basically, I'm saying like it's okay. Like it's not like necessary to have in-game replays because of budgets and people are just cheap and don't want to pay with 2 observers. But you can observe on your own, and you can observe with another account on your own with a future client. Basically, you just need 2 accounts. How do we get to this topic? That's directed cam. But yeah, as observer 2, I can literally just like zoom out. And this is what I do. As observer 2, I zoom out, and I just directed cam and I shot call. I go like, okay, I'll go Vayne's. Let's see. Rakan is ganking mid lane. Victor does not know. I can help with the vision toggle to check if I wind that back.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say vision toggle is probably really useful too.
Yep. That's gonna be something we're gonna talk about now. So Victor hasn't seen Rakan yet, right? So we could if I was observer 2, I could be like, oh, do a vision toggle for blue team. He doesn't know he's getting ganked and he's getting fucked here and he's probably gonna die. Maybe he gets away. I don't know. Okay, he gets away. But yeah, that's something you can call out, right? So basically, I'm just like pretending to be observer 2. I'm like, oh, Vi gets dragon, top lane is boring. There's trading in the red team jungle, and then you might say specifically, go to Vi. Give them a target to actually jump to. Oh, top lane's trading now. Yoni goes in, and then I'm shot calling, right? He's 6. Jarvan's in trouble. Does he flash? And let's say that's first blood to Jarvan. Right after Jarvan dies, jump to Vi because she dies in the jungle. Stuff like that. Yeah, these are things you can do. Yeah, you're basically just almost commentating what's going on, but obviously you're communicating key information. You don't want to be like, oh my god, Vi gets this and that, right? You want to say Vi's in trouble, go to Vi. If there's like a key thing like ult's being used, or like, oh, he dodges with a flash, like, or Vayne flashes left because like maybe they're zoomed in here. You might say Vayne flashes left, but she might flash over a wall, and you want to frame it nicely, right? So you might want to prepare for it, and then she flashes over, rather than playing catch up.
You're not casting.
Yes.
You're just saying key things that are happening.
Yeah.
Just a few words.
Yeah, pretty much. You're basically there not to clog up comms, and some observer 1s will hate that. Some observer 1s don't like being handheld. Some really love it. Like I just adapt with who I work with. I've had some observers which really hate it to the point I'm literally just sitting there waiting for them to tell me to do a replay. That's a thing. But like I said, that's a workflow thing. We're getting a bit off topic here. But yeah, so that's just directed cam alone. So we went through directed cam, manual camera, ignore first person for now. Jumping between the champions, 1 to 5 and Q to T. What else is there? Drag scroll. Cool. So those are the key camera controls. Obviously, like you can just go for each of these. So there's time shifts. I'm not sure if you were familiar with these, but
just roll back time a bit. I wasn't actually sure if that's what gets used in replays. I don't know how replays work. Like I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how people do replay.
Alright, so we can go over that. So this is like your time UI. You don't normally have this up as observer 1. So normally, I need to rebind all these things real quick.
Yeah, you have the gold thing up, right? Just items and stuff.
Let me just get the UI interface. No. Interface should be here.
I think it's O or U to bring it up for me.
So I normally, because basically in game you have tab to hold, right, by default. This is this. Oh, I'm bringing up the scoreboard, right? But in spectator, I like to change that to this. Basically, this is a toggle, and yes, the default is O. Obviously, it's quite stretched for me, So I like to just rebind it. It's just when you ever go into the game playing itself, you'd have to rebind that to a whole, just a little
Yeah.
pre-note. So you wouldn't have this observer one. You would hide this, right? Because you don't want to spoil it. Unless maybe your production has like a banner which covers this, but I think it's risky, first of all, because if you know that overlay disappears, you basically spoil the game. You know, because if you are in delay, you might see what's coming up. Or if you're remotely and you're like recasting over a game, or there's like a 5-minute delay, because remotely you want to build delay for like issues like DCs and stuff. Basically, you don't want to, like, if the audience saw this, it spoils everything, right? We basically can see here that looks like blue team are gonna win, because look at this, it's basically the end, right?
Yeah,
And this is a
we see
replay
the
file,
end.
yeah. So the best thing I like to do is just hide it, and I'm trying to think of my default for this, because for some reason all my settings are like
It's
hidden.
you. It's you, I think.
Okay, yeah, it's you. Awesome. And that's a handy one as well. I just want to check is my so I have these oh, you mentioned the dragon bug, right? The bug for the thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if
Actually,
that's affected on tournament round, but like I said, I can forward that over, and it's good you noticed that, because I probably wouldn't have. But like I sent you the bindings for that as well, and so I don't really need to talk about that right now. For anyone in the chat that wants to know, feel free. But
yeah, I was gonna ask, are you using like some sort of custom thing for the timers, or is that there by default? Because mine don't look like that. Mine just go on the top of the mini map,
yes,
and they're
so
just basically numbers.
if you scroll up to the thing I sent you, you need to add these
Mhm.
into the. So this is not in the persistent settings. These are in the config settings. You basically
Config
have to
settings,
add
okay.
that replay, and you have to add like an esports section. Basically, just copy what I sent over to you on the
Okay,
documents
yeah.
or in the screenshots. It's very simple. It's just open it up in a notepad editor and just add those lines in, and then you
Okay.
get it defaults to here and looks really ugly.
Yeah.
And you can move up here. I don't know why they just don't add this as the default, but yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Cool. And I have that bound to B, I think, which is toggle objective timers, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, back to the UI. So yeah, you want to hide this normally. Observer 2 can have this on, and because basically as Observer 2, your screen only gets shown if like Observer 1 messes up and you have to take over as main ops. Obviously, you want to sync up with the times again. That's another workflow thing. But also, if you're doing in-game replays as Observer 2, you want to be in this UI. So my default is A, and that's called Teamfight UI, I do believe. Yes, in toggle Teamfight UI, yeah. So this is what.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the default in-game replay. So if you're doing replays, this is like the default or the standard of replay UI. So this is good because for one, when people see that this UI, they know that this is ideally a replay, because you won't ever see this UI except for when you're in a replay. I know different productions do stuff differently. I mean, there's this whole debate about whether they should be using this. I've seen people use the standard one. It looks ugly for me. But like I said, I like to use the whole. Well, if we're in the standard UI, we know we're live. We're in Observer 1, we're live. If we're in this UI, oh, we're in the replay. So this helps like mentally, like it almost like sticks in the audience's head that once they see this certain UI, they know. They don't want to get confused. They might get confused. Oh, is this live? Is this a replay? This is a nice way of actually determining that. Just look at the UI.
Yeah.
This is Teamfight UI. You know, obviously you have like a replay bug up here sometimes or whatever, but it just helps. But a rule of thumb that I like to work with is if you're doing an in-game replay as Observer 2, because normally Observer 1s don't do that, you want to be in this UI. It's like a check thing. Like I have like a checklist. Like, okay, do I have the good time? Am I in Teamfight UI? Am I paused? Stuff like that. But like I said, that's something we can
do that just in case like there's a replay, you don't mess up the overlay. I mean, not the overlay, like because like you said, people want to know that they're in the replay thing. So you just have it up just in case, like you're not accidentally in the other one.
Oh no, I only go into this when I'm ready. So like this is also a good reason to why we go into this as well, because like if I stayed in this zone, like someone who's taken my feed, like the technical director who might be responsible for taking my feed, like something I've worked with in the past to say, like once you see me in this UI, you know that I'm ready. So I only go into this mode when I'm ready. So which is like a visual cue for the director. Let's say my audio breaks. It's just nice to know, right? Because and like if I'm working with Observer and I'm Obs 1, I look at their feed, I'm like, okay, well you're not in this UI, so you're not ready. And like I said, you don't want to be in this UI, right? Because you don't want this up. But yeah, it's like a checklist thing which I can go through with you in terms of workflow, distributions, kind of thing. But yeah, rule of thumb is if you're doing a replay, be in Teamfight UI. Like I said, depends on the production, but general rule of thumb is to best be in this UI. Other people might argue, but I can tell from experience that what they say is kind of But hey, we'll I can argue that another time with said people. But yeah, so I guess we can just move on naturally to UIs right now. So yeah, this is standard UI. So Observer 1, you don't want the timeline up because you don't want spoilers. You want to be just in this mode here. You can drop the tab. So we call this tab down. Well, we did in the ULCS or LEC. Basically, it's because we binded this drop down to tab, right? Like I said up here.
Yeah.
It used to be, I think,
yeah,
it's default O. Yeah, so this is like in-game, this is what it looks like. Default, it's this. But O is a stretch, right? At least it is for me, especially when all my mouse buttons are... Basically, I use my left hand for any like key bindings, and my right hand is on my mouse controlling the movements, right? So you don't want anything too far away, ideally. But hey, you might be...
put everything as close as to the left hand as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, though, if you do jump into the game with... if you're doing this in a live client, like in this retail client, just be aware if you do rebind this, when you go into the game, every time you press tab and you expect you just to like hold it, it actually just toggles on and off. So you might have to rebind this. Yeah, just a quick note, because some people, it throws some people off, annoys me and everything like that. But yeah, that's another thing. So like, let's say we tab down if we want to create more space. So if we're rolling this out, okay, well, let's find a team fight or something. Let's say some fight happens here. Let's say this guy's gonna gank. It's like, okay, well, a fight's about to happen. I need more space, right? Because there's a lot of like space being taken up here. We don't know what's going on here. Like we could have saw a Jarvan approach. So what you can easily do is tab down, and then you have more room. So it increases your visual space, because you don't need like the gold or the items right now. If a big team fight's breaking out, then it's better to actually have more space. So let's say we go here where a big team fight breaks out. Here. So okay, let's tab down, because we don't need that, right? This gives us more room. Because if you constantly have this up, and some people do, some productions leave this up because they have overlays they don't want to mess up. Some lazy broadcasts don't want to like drop the overlays, because first of all, if you're not in control as the observer of dropping those overlays, because you can control this thing going up and down, right? However, if you're not in control of like the stream graphics or the overlays, then you would have to time that. Exactly, yes. And either you have to time that with the person. This is why I like to have control. This is why I said, some Stream Deck productions allow you to have full control over this, which is best. Because given like as the observer, you should have full control of the in-game portions of it. Which is why when I work things, like when I work with like Jacob, Aatrox, like a good friend of mine, I tend to ask for, hey, could you give me access to the actual in-game production stuff, so I can control when we go into replays, I control pips, I control the overlays, right? However, like I said, you're probably going to be working with a lot of broadcasts where it's just stagnant, it's just stale, where the overlay is there and you don't drop it. So you don't drop this at all. And which is fine, but you just have to compensate for that, right? Basically, you have to frame a bit better. Maybe you zoom out a bit more so you're not missing kills, right? Because you don't have the luxury of dropping this down. Because this is, in my opinion, a bit too zoomed out. This is more of a replay zoom for casters who want to like, show me the perspective or show me the vision or whatever, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see like all the abilities.
Exactly.
And stuff this much zoomed out.
Yeah, and this is the benefit of having tab downs, because you can frame more. However, if I'm like this, you basically cut off the lower third of the screen.
Yeah.
That's just something to factor in. But yeah, Observer 1, you basically have access to tab up, tab down, tab up, tab down from a basic level. Cool. Anything else? I mean, the other things are like, obviously you have the chat open, so a quick way of getting rid of that is you can either click this I, and funny enough, there's actually a binding with I, the letter itself, so you want to turn off chat. So I like to, every time you go into the game, a quick setup is like, let's say you just load in, you want to quickly double click the chat to make sure it's off. Sometimes it does come up, it's kind of weird. You can actually turn on and off the time controls here, but we have bindings for that, which is like I said, But yeah, that's a good thing, is chat. You could also like move it out the way technically if you want. So like you have to enter first, then you can like drag it away. It's normally default here. I don't know why I moved it here. Maybe it's for like a broadcast one point, but you can also like drag. Oh, I know why, because I dragged it off screen. So I dragged it just as much as I can, just in case, because there's always like bugs. It can like pop up.
Oh yeah, you don't want it to like appear.
Exactly.
Maybe leak names and stuff.
Yep, names, or maybe because some players are toxic, especially at collegiate levels. They're always like trash talking, and depending who you're working with, they don't want to see stuff.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe it's more of a casual, maybe it's like a meme tournament. Then sure, you can actually keep the chat up. I've had times where I brought up chat because there's some interesting context to drive the narrative there, right? I've even had times where I brought it up and I print screened it, so I screenshotted this chat here, and then I pipped it up. That's like more advanced stuff, but that got a lot of good attention because basically I added context to the story. It was a slow game. I saw the players were shit talking in a way, and then I pipped that up. They didn't have to like bring up my obs2's feed for that, so I didn't have to like bring my whole screen up for that because it's not necessary. So what I did is I used the feature of a pip up, and I pipped up the Obs 2 feed with just the full screen of the image of some shit talking, and it got good reception, so that's good. But these are things you want to think about, right? How can you make the broadcast more exciting? How can you tell the story? So basically, from that one pick up, I basically picked up a rivalry, right? It was two top laners shit talking to each other, and then we focus on top lanes. And then the cast was like, oh, look who won that, right? Oh, Jarvan got dumpstered by the Yone or something like that, right? Jarvan shouldn't be talking shit when he gets dumpstered, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, that's like,
adds a bit
exactly. And that's the key thing, right? As a broadcast or as an observer, you're there for storytelling. You're there for narrative. You're there to make it exciting. You're basically there to like show what's going on in a fun way, building tension, etc. Yes, that's a quick note there. So you can click this UI, basically toggle on and off the chat for safety, avoid pressing enter. You can also do this by hitting I to bring up the shortcut instead of clicking here, whichever you want. Cool. And that moves us on to vision toggle. So we did mention about this. So there are a few like ganks before. So the default bindings for vision toggles are also, if you are gonna bind a V to zoom, extended zoom like I did, you want to unbind toggle. I think this is a toggle fog of war for the team. That's normally default V. I unbind that because I use V for zoom, and you don't need that. You shouldn't be using the toggle fog of war option. You should unbind this. You should be using the F1, F2, F3 buttons for the different basically visions and stuff like that. So F1 is blue team's vision. F2 is red team's vision. So this is what blue teams see, obviously. And then you want F2, which is red team's vision, and then F3 is like default. It's like everyone's. This is like default. So F1 blue, F2 red, and F3 is default. And this is where we can get, funky in terms of like storytelling, right? So I mentioned like there are times where you can make it exciting and you want to make it exciting. So how do we do that? Let's say someone gets ganked top lane, right? Let's say this mid lane. So Ari gets like 3-man whatever. So we can be like, oh, something's about to happen here. Let's toggle red team's vision with F2 and wait for it. Oh my god, 3 people are chasing her. Oh my god, she's running away. That kind of thing, right? So that builds tension. Also shows it gives the caster something to tell about, like, oh my god, she doesn't know, maybe she's face checking this bush, right? Let's say she's walking to this bush and someone's standing here. We could toggle F2 red team's vision and be like, oh, she has no idea. Exactly, yeah. So this is again building excitement, storytelling kind of thing. So F1, F2, F3, blue team, red team, and default. Always remember to go back to default if nothing's going on, and that thing. And you might even show this, like if someone walks to this ward here, like maybe the jungler. I'm trying to look for good opportunities. So Ari, okay, the ward just died, which doesn't help. God, timing. Oh, here, there's a nice example here. So we want to show that Zillion's warding here. There's fights going on here. Zillion warded here, and let's see if that ward spots the Vi. Even though there's a ward here. And then, oh my god, the ward spots the Vi doing Grump. Even though it's spotted here, just ignore that one right now.
Yeah, just pretend like that's not there.
Here's a good one. It's using these, what do you call them? Vision? I don't know. I can't really call them now.
Yeah,
but
vision thingies.
Yeah, vision thing. Whatever. Like, I'm really, like, bad of lead. I've, like, lost it. I haven't played in a long time. But he is a good vision toggle. Basically, whichever team is actually using it, you could vision toggle to them. This is something I like to do. So you basically F1. So you can see nothing here, and then you go, ooh, you follow it, and look what they see. Wolves is open.
That looks pretty cool.
And they might catch the jungler pathing here or something, right? That's always something to look out for. And this is something I do. Here's another one, right? So this is a really good one here. Who is it? Whoever's the B, the Vayne. The Vayne does the vision thingy here, and actually spots this guy here. So I can vision toggle blue team. I can follow it. Like, let's look here, and boom, spots the ward, spots Yasuo, right?
Yeah.
That looks much better. That tells a better story than just having default
just having
and showing them.
on
So I mean, we can do this. However, like if we would be like, okay, how can we step this up? How can we make this more exciting? Like Vayne doesn't know, right? Until that moment, so we can replay this again and be like, okay, well let's do this. Okay, well Vayne's going back to the jungle. Yasuo's here, and let's see. Oh, Vayne's about to hit the plant. Let's see if she spots anything useful. And boom, she spots Yasuo. So that means she's probably okay. She does take the vision anyway over whatever. But yeah, again, that's just an example of how to use vision toggle, right? So you want to use vision toggle to make things exciting. Another example is just general early ganks. So this is a 1v1 or someone gets ganked. Oh, it was a 1v1.
Oh, that was a 1v1, yeah.
Let's look for a jungle gank somewhere. It's got to be 1 or 2. There might be 1 here. Who dies? Okay, no. Basically, what I'm saying is like, basically, if there's a gank going on, let's say a Vi on the red team is coming up here and about to gank this Yone. You can obviously build. It's just so much easier if I have an example. Top lane just 1v1ing each other this whole game. This is a challenger game. Maybe this one here. Here, perfect. So Jarvan dies to a gank, right? So how can we build this up? Okay, so we can be like, okay, well here we go. Jarvan has no idea, right? He has no wards. Here's his vision.
Yeah.
And then we can like pounce back to see like what he sees. He has no idea. And then he gets ganked, right? So basically you're building tension. You could like normally.
So how quickly would you switch between like no vision and vision like you did just now? Like, is there a rule that you use?
A rule of thumb,
same as like switching cameras again.
A rule of thumb.
So you don't want it to be too fast.
A rule of thumb for me is to basically always, not always, but like generally hold things for at least a second and a half or 2 seconds. Because like I said, if you're jumping around too much, if you're doing jump, it looks bad. It looks like you're making a mistake, and yeah, it's just too much. Like by the time you jumped here and then you jump away, it's like the audience doesn't have time to process all the information. Oh, you're showing this guy. You're showing what this guy at blue, right? Okay, well, it's just too fast. Like if I jump here, and jump here, it's too quick. We don't have time. The audience doesn't have time to process that information. Like, what are you showing me? The audience is gonna be like, well, why are you showing this, right? Is because to me that just comes across as a mistake. If you're jumping here, it looks like, oh, wrong person, go here. Oh, wrong person, go here.
Yeah.
But normally, like, I'd hold it. Like I said before, if you jump to the wrong champion, just give it. If as long as you're not missing the important things of the actual person you're supposed to jump to, just hold it for like 1 or 2 seconds. Make it look like it's not a mistake, and then jump. 1, 2. Let's do this. 1, 2, and then jump. 1, 2, and then jump. Rather than jump, jump. Because like why are you showing this? Like, can you show this and then jump? Yeah, exactly. It just looks like a mistake basically.
So would you do the same thing with the vision control thing?
Kind of, yeah.
Leave it up for a second.
Yeah, like so the same rule applies, right? If I'm gonna like do this and then flick straight back, it's like, well,
yeah.
I mean you could, but that's a lot to process. Like you want to hold it, yeah. If I were to play this out properly, that's how I would like observers normally. So here it comes. We observer 2 tells us he's gonna gank, and we know he's gonna gank. Okay, well, there's no wards here, right? This is when I do it. I go, he has no idea. And maybe we want to see where he is, right? And then he's in the bush, he's waiting. And then he vision toggle again, and then he shows up with the ability. And he's still invisible with the ability, which that's good. That's a good use of his invisibility and, you know, using how you would do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's same rule applies. Same with jumping around to people. Don't do it too fast. Hold it for like 1 or 2 seconds. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, even 2 seconds. Like 3 seconds might be good. But same for vision toggles. Like why flick between too quickly, right? Because if you do this constantly, again, there's not enough time for people to process. Yeah. You might know it, but the audience doesn't. Like you have much more context as the observer than the general audience who's supposedly going to be watching this. Like this, like, oh, he doesn't know. Oh, there we go, right? But if I were to like do that again and do this really quickly, it just looks jarring. Like you just flick back and forth. But it really depends. Like maybe it's like a really initial time, or maybe you're just late to it. Because you can't always plan for everything, right? But yeah, same thing applies. Try and hold it for a second or two, just to give people time to take in the information. You're basically setting the scene. You want to, like, observing for me is like you set the scene and then you give them the context. Setting the scene here was, oh, look at the dude ganking Jarvan before. So I set the scene by showing he's here, and then I vision toggle, and then I zoom in or something, and then I show, oh look, he's still here. And now he's coming out, and guess what? He's coming out invisible because that's his ability. Yada yada, right? Yeah. That kind of thing. And you can even show things like here. Okay, well, I don't like. Maybe that's not the best thing to show, but okay, look, he's getting ganked. Oh, is he gonna disappear into the bush? Is the bush gonna help him? And he disappears for a second, right? Which way is he going? Like maybe Jarvan decided to like jump and juke down, run through this turret.